I've been writing and singing and playing the piano and producing music twice as long as I've been voice acting. Don't do the math. Don't think about how long that is then. But I did this live concert at a convention, and we videotaped it, and it's a big, beautiful concert with great audience and colored lights and fog machines and those cool cameras that boom down over the audience. It's a great concert. Dolby 5.1 mix, songs from Full Metal, or in high school, D and Angel, Dragon Ball Z. But there's also something on the concert DVD that I have to tell you about. She's gonna find out. Back when we were recording Full Metal Alchemist, I was loving that show so much that I wanted to cosplay as Edward. I know what you're thinking. You're way too tall, right? And you're right. But I started coming up with an idea whereas a grown man could start turning into an anime character. And then I thought, man, I don't think I've ever seen any voice actors cosplay as their characters. So I asked some of the other voice actors from Full Metal if they wanted to do something fun with me, and they agreed. So we got together one weekend in Houston, Texas, and we made something called Full Metal Fantasy. It's basically voice actors cosplaying as their characters from Full Metal. And it's a fun movie. It's never been available until now. It's on the DVD because I would show it at my concerts. I would do a live music concert, and I would show it on the screen, and then I would come out after it was over, and I would sit at the piano, and I would play and sing the Brothers theme from Full Metal. You guys know that song? How can I repay you, brother mine? And so it's on the concert DVD as well. So I've got all that stuff downstairs. I hope you'll come down as soon as we're done here. I'll be heading back down to the autograph table, and I hope you'll come and see me if you haven't already, and even if you have, come back. Okay? And then hopefully tomorrow and Sunday we'll have just a whole bunch of great fans here, anime fans, and it's going to be an awesome weekend. I'm so excited to be here. So, who's got a question to start us off? Does anybody have a question you want to ask? Yes.
Yeah, I'm going to ask. I know that you're a voice actor for Rohan Sensei from
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Bizarre is the operative word there. It is so funny. Oh my, that's amazing. I love Rohan. I loved playing him.
Yeah, I just need to ask. Will you be portraying as Rohan Sensei from the other OVAs of Duspo Kishibe Rohan?
You know what? If they're dubbed, I certainly hope so. I mean, I don't see why I wouldn't. Have they been dubbed in English? Yeah, see, I don't know. See, that's up to the studios. At the end of the day, I'm just a poor actor. Honestly, I just, you know what I mean? I hope to get the chance to play characters. I just play characters. I mean, I don't get to write shows really, except Star Trek. But I promised we wouldn't talk about that anymore. But when it comes to anime, if I get cast in a show, I go and I do my best with the character. But companies buy the rights to dub a show into English. And then they translate it into English, and then they cast people and do all the recording and mixing and release it in English. So I hope so. If there is more Rohan, I better be playing him, or someone will die. Could be me. Yes, I hope so. Question? Yes, sir.
First of all, pleasure to meet you.
It is a pleasure to meet you, sir. What's your name?
My name is Raymond.
Raymond? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Everybody say hi to Ray.
Hi.
What's your question, sir?
My question is, you have been not only an actor, but a voice actor for many years, and you have worked on many projects over the years. As you grow and you learn how to manage things in your life, for a person that's young like me, I'm 21 years old, and I'm going to college. if you can give any advice on a straight path, on where to start. Or how
I love this question, Raymond. I do, because something that has meant so much to me over the years that I've been doing this has been perhaps the most important thing to me has been to be a positive encouragement to people. To help people through difficult times in their lives, or challenges, or loss, or illness, or difficulties. It's been my greatest privilege. So I appreciate you asking that. I will tell you this, right? When I was 21, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And here's the most important thing I want to say to you. Don't stress about it. Don't feel like you have to have it all figured out. I'm 21, what am I going to do? Don't put yourself under that kind of pressure. Pursue the things you love. Find things that you enjoy, that you feel like you're good at, and become excellent at them. Walk through doors that open for you. Take opportunities that are presented to you. I never planned to be a voice actor. I spent the last 20 years doing this, and it was never part of my plan. I just loved acting, and I would take any opportunity to do it. And it had zero to do with money. If my church was doing a play, I want to be in it. If my school was doing a play, I'm auditioning for that. If there's a community theater, I'm auditioning for that. I was always looking for any opportunity to develop my skills in the areas of things that I loved, whether it was singing, music, or acting, or anything, graphic design, playing the piano, whatever. But when I was 21, let me think, where was I when I was 21? In college, and I was majoring in film, and I had no idea why, except that I liked making film. When I was a little boy, my parents, by the way, when I say when I was a little boy, I'm talking about like early 70s, and there were no video cameras. If you were lucky, you had a home movie camera, an 8mm or a Super 8mm movie camera, a little tiny consumer level movie camera. And my parents had one, and I would round the kids in the neighborhood up and make little movies where I was the director, and I would make Star Trek movies. I know I promised I wouldn't talk about it anymore. But he asked a question. Where I would play Captain Kirk. And I would literally hang models, I would build models, and then I would hang them in front of a poster, a black poster board, and I would run past them with the camera to make it look like the ship was flying by. And then I would build little cardboard sets out in the woods behind my apartment building. And I would make my own uniforms. And then I would make the kids in the neighborhood wear the uniforms that I made. So when I got to college, I'm like, well, I like making movies. I'm going to major in film. And I would act and stuff, but I never imagined where it would all go. One of the biggest things I hear from young people nowadays is, I don't know what I'm going to do. And they get themselves worked up and stressed out about it. Don't stress. The opportunities are going to present themselves. You get the best education you can. And work really hard at perfecting the abilities that God has given you. You know what they are. All of you know right now, as I'm talking about this. There's something in your mind, you're like, I'm good at that. Or I'm really good at that. Or I would love to work in that. I would love to become proficient at that. Or this. Whatever that is for you, pursue it and get good at it. And I have always been, especially at my age now, as I've looked back at my year, at my life, and how things have taken me from place to place and thing to thing, I would have never imagined that I would be, that some of the things would happen that have happened. But the best thing I could say to you is take every opportunity you're given, develop your skills to the best of your ability, and don't stress out.
Thank you.
Okay? I mean, I hear people that are like, somebody said to me the other day, you know, I'm such and such an age and I still live with my parents. I'm like, okay, don't beat yourself up about that. You know what I mean? There's no standard. You know what I mean? There's no magic number that you should have achieved this much by this age. And that's important for all of you to know. Just because your friends got married and have babies doesn't mean, oh, I should have been married and had babies by now. No, because your life is your life. Your life is your path. There is no set standard that everybody is supposed to adhere to. Okay? So you guys don't stress out. Don't lose sleep. Don't beat yourselves up that you're supposed to be here and you're only here. Don't do that. All you're doing is robbing yourself of joy. Things are going to be what they're supposed to be, and if you're ready, the things that you can control. What can you control? You can control how much you pay attention in school. You can control whether or not you develop your talents and your skills, right? You control that. So the things that you can control, you do your best at. And then the things that you cannot control will happen in their own time and in their own speed, and you'll be ready when they are. I want that for all of you. I genuinely do. Thank you for the question. Great. Hi.
Angelique.
Hello, Angelique. Angelique was surprised that I know how to spell her name. I went to school. What's your question?
I study acting actually in theater, and what advice would you give to someone who wants to do voice acting? It's always been like one of my dreams actually to study.
I'm glad you asked. That's a great question because I'm sure there are plenty of people in here that are interested in voice acting. How would I get started in that? Well, I have to tell you, things are very different now than they were when I started. When I started, anime was very small. It was kind of this little niche kind of a thing. And there weren't a lot of people doing it. And so I was encouraged to audition for this studio in Houston, where we did, not that guy, but where we did Street Fighter. That was the first, I saw that on the screen, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was losing it. Because that's the first thing I ever did, almost 20 years ago, Street Fighter 2. But when I got started, it was just this little company that literally had this little studio that was probably the size of this stage. And they bought some recording equipment, and they got permission from some Japanese studios to dub some anime series, and they did. They hired actors that worked and lived in Houston, and I was one of them. But if you're interested in voice acting, I used to say there were two things that you need to do, and I've decided 3. Number 1, acting. Acting is the main word in voice acting. It's not voice. You could have a really cool voice, but if you can't act, if you can't communicate the emotion of a scene or a character, then it doesn't matter how great a voice you have. Acting, acting, acting. Most every voice actor I know has lots of background and experience in theater, in acting. And then somebody offered them the chance to voice act, and I'm like, well, voice acting is acting, and I love acting. Sure, I'll try that, because they love acting. That's how I did it. I never had any illusions about being a voice actor, but I loved acting. So when somebody said, hey, you should audition as a voice actor, all I heard was actor. I'm like, okay. That's the first thing. Get as much experience as you can. Church plays, community theaters, school productions, anywhere you can. The second thing is location. You have to be where that kind of work is done. As with any job, right? If you dream of being a country western singer, where should you live? Nashville, Tennessee, country music capital of the world, probably. You know what I mean? Or maybe Austin, Texas, or a couple of at least a handful of places where that kind of work is more predominant, right? you could be the greatest voice actors ever, but if you don't live somewhere where there are opportunities to voice act, it really doesn't matter, right? That would be like Los Angeles, and New York, and Houston, and Dallas, and Vancouver, and a little bit in Toronto. There are a handful of places, but not many. I normally used to say those were the two things, acting experience and location. But I've added a third one, and the third one may be the most important. And I never talked about it until I thought about it a couple of years ago as someone asked me this question, and I thought, wow, that third thing is probably the first thing. And that thing is determination. How many of you guys know what the word tenacity means? Do you know what it means to be tenacious? It means you don't give up easily. It means that you keep trying at something and you don't get discouraged easily. Almost every field of any creative endeavor has one big problem. There are thousands of people that want to do it. Right? And often it comes down to who wants it most. We've all watched plenty of television shows where we've seen somebody on the show and you're like, how did that person get cast? They're horrible. We've heard songs on the radio where you're listening to something, you're like, dang, they're not that good a singer. How'd they get a record contract, right? Or a movie. Those people got opportunities because they just didn't give up. They just kept pushing and pushing and pushing. If you get discouraged easily, then a creative field like acting or singing or dancing or whatever is not for you. Because there is much more rejection than there is accepting. You get rejected a lot more than you get cast. So it's that kind of tenacity that will serve you really, really well. You might not even be, I'm not the greatest voice actor in the world, but I got an opportunity and I did the best I could with it, right? And keep auditioning for things and you hope you get to work. I make no illusion that I'm the greatest voice actor. There are probably people in here that are better than me, you know, but I got an opportunity and did the best I could with it. So my point is, it's not always the most talented people that get the job. It's the people that just don't give up. I knew somebody once who auditioned for a TV show and they nailed it. They told me I nailed this thing. I totally should get this. And they didn't get cast. And they were heartbroken about it. And then they found out from their agent who booked them to go to the audition. Do you know why they didn't get cast? Because they had red hair, and the producer just broke up with his girlfriend who had red hair. Now, do you see my point? A lot of times it has zero to do with any talent you have or don't have. Guy might have had a bad burrito at lunch. For all you know, right? He could have had you know what I mean? He could have had lunch that didn't sit well with him. And you came into audition, he's like, oh my God, my stomach, I want out of here. He's not even paying attention to you. You spent 3 weeks preparing for this audition, and he just wants out of the room. He just needs to head to the bathroom. So point is,